Starting a business in your 50s may sound bold and a little crazy, and honestly, it is. But here's the thing that nobody tells you, right? It can also be the most rewarding and freeing and challenging things that you can do in midlife. So today I'm going to talk about what that really looks like. I'm going to share some behind the scenes and really share with you all what it's really like to start a business in midlife. The fears, the lessons that I've learned along the way, and my goal to you is to be as honest as I possibly can. So stay tuned. So, one of the things that I realized, even when I was in my corporate role, was that, I knew that I wasn't fulfilled. I knew that I was suffering from burnout. And so I had been thinking, for quite some time about what it was that I wanted to do. I probably still thought that I was going to be in corporate for another 10 years or so until your standard retirement age. But always in the back of my head, I was dreaming of starting a travel business. And at some point, I'll probably get into the longer backstory about why a travel business. But for today, I'm just going to focus on what it was like to start a business at the age of 55. Even when I was in my corporate role, I had started to go down the path of setting up the LLC and getting all of the paperwork to really establish a business. And then I had also started to do some training just to start learning what it was going to be about. And I did that in my part time, after hours or at nights or on weekends while I was still in my corporate role. And so obviously the turning point for me was when I was fired from that particular job. And that's really the catalyst that got me going full time in really creating this business from the ground up. I'm going to be honest with you guys. There were some fears early on. Like, I knew that I'd have to invest some of my own personal money to get this business, going and off the ground. I didn't know really how much money I was going to have to invest. I also knew that, I wasn't going to have any income coming in for a while. And so my partner and I really had to talk about what did that really mean for us as a family and to some of the goals that we had. So there was fear of, just the financials and the impact of that. Another one of the fears that I had too was, oh my gosh, what are people going to think? And I've always struggled with this. I know that there's a lot of us Gen X women that are kind of in this stage of our lives. And I don't know why, but I've always been worried about what other people think. And I'm trying to get over that, right? So that was a huge fear. It's like, people have known me as this, successful executive for so long. All of a sudden, I'm switching gears and I'm starting a small business. So, what does that do to my identity? How does that shape and frame how my friends and family react to me? I honestly just wasn't sure how they would. So another fear that I had too was, I've been in team settings my entire career, and there's always been colleagues to bounce ideas off of. And I really enjoyed that part of my corporate career. It was the working with other people and being a part of a team and something that's larger than yourself. And so, one of the fears that I had was this travel business was just going to be me, myself, and I. And, I knew that I was going to have to do everything myself when it comes to marketing and sales and back office systems. And I mean, it's just when you're operating a small business, there is nobody else. It is just you unless you've got employees. So that was also a big fear. And then the last fear that I had was of failure. I think, everybody has that fear of failure at some point in their career. Whether it's you're still in corporate or whether you're starting a new business, I really did fear that failure. Okay, so now that I've shared some of the fears, I want to address some of the myths too, right? So, a lot of people don't really understand what it's like to be a travel advisor or have that kind of business. And I think probably the most common myth is, oh my gosh, it's this glamorous lifestyle where you're jet setting all over the world. Reality is, that comes later, right? You know, those people that you see traveling, they either have other sources of income or they have been established long enough and they have a sales pipeline that affords them the opportunity to do those things. So the behind the scenes reality of a travel business is a lot of research, destination research, supplier research. It's a lot of marketing. And so I'll probably do another video at some point about my learnings in digital marketing. That's probably been the most eye-opening experience for me. But you know, this myth of being a travel advisor and getting to go all over the globe, that doesn't happen overnight. Now, I plan to do a lot of travel, and I'm going to share those travels with you as we go along. But a lot of that is because, you know, obviously I've worked a very long time and we have a lot of savings, and that's one of my goals in midlife. That's one of the reasons that I started this travel business is honestly, you know, one of my biggest goals is for the business to actually pay for or support my own travel passion. But even though the reality, you know, I'm kind of busting that myth for you. The one thing that I will tell you that, you know, owning and starting this business has done for me is it's really allowed me to invest my time in something that I'm passionate about. I will tell you guys, you know, there's that old saying that if you do something that you love, you'll never work a day in your life. I'm finding that that's absolutely true. I love researching destinations. I love thinking about and dreaming about and helping my clients with their travel needs. I am so fulfilled. So even though the myth is that, you know, it's not all this that glamorous, I can tell you that I am far more fulfilled in doing this kind of work than I ever was in any of my corporate positions. Why a small business in the first place? You know, the thing that really I focused on was the fact that I wanted to be in control of my own destiny, if you will. I wanted control of my schedule. I wanted control of what kind of work that I wanted to do. I wanted a little more control over my time, frankly. And this business actually allows me to do that. Now, that's not to say that there aren't things that, you know, I don't particularly enjoy, but still need to be done. I think that's just part of being an adult, right? But, you know, the one thing that I can say is that there are far more wins and joys in this business and doing something for myself. You know, this is something where I'm really watching this business grow from the ground up. And it's been, you know, like I said earlier, it's been one of the most fulfilling things in my life. And so this is mine. It's something that I own, that I'm responsible for, and the decisions that I make are mine as well. And so that's probably the most fulfilling thing. I will tell you the biggest win that I've had so far is I had an opportunity to meet with some clients after they had returned from one of their trips, and the joy in their recounting of their experience. I mean, they shared pictures, they shared videos of their family trip, and I found myself just smiling from ear to ear, and it just absolutely made my day. So it was tangible proof that something that I had done and helped with and assisted somebody with actually brought them joy. And I got to tell you guys, that was probably the moment where I have been the most fulfilled that I ever have in my career. I guess to summarize, what I'd say is I've learned, you know, three really key things since I've been starting over and starting this small business. The first is you're never too old to do something new, try something new, learn something new. Number two is imperfect action beats inaction any day of the week. So there's never going to be a perfect time. Just do it. The third thing is that reinvention is just messy. I don't have all of the answers. I make mistakes all of the time, but I can tell you that that's where the magic happens. Other people in your life may not understand it, but it's not their dream. It's your dream. And the only person that can make your dreams come to fruition is you. Is starting a business at 55 all glamour and easy? No. Is it worth it? Absolutely. I am so glad that I did this. Reinvention, it doesn't come with a roadmap. It doesn't come with that 10-step checklist. You kind of have to figure it out on your own. But what I'm here to say is that it does come with freedom. It comes with autonomy, and it comes with an opportunity for you to finally get some of those things that you may have been looking for in your life. And so if you've ever dreamed of starting over, I hope that by sharing my story, it gives you a little bit of inspiration to try this yourself. So if you're interested in more midlife stories, starting a business, travel vlogs, what it's like to be a Gen X woman in this, crazy world that we live in, subscribe, follow along, and come gloriously off track with me.